Hi, it's Spencer here, and today I'm going to talk about one of the interesting chart pattern called the cup and handle pattern. Now, this is a pattern that is not quite common, but when it does appear, it gives you very good trading opportunities because it tends to lead to explosive price movements once the pattern is completed. So what you will learn in this short video, first, what is the underlying psychology behind the chart pattern, why it forms, how it forms, and how you can take advantage of it, and why it tends to show accumulation by the big players. And I'll share two effective trading strategies that you can use specifically to trade this pattern. And lastly, I will talk about how to increase the odds of trading this pattern. So some practical aspects when you are trying to apply this trading strategy to the pattern. Okay, so in my earlier videos, I've covered that there are two main types of patterns: reversal patterns and continuation patterns. So this, in a sense, will be classified under the reversal pattern, although sometimes it technically can fall under the continuation as well. Okay, so for this pattern, it tends to be a bullish accumulation, right? So it is quite rare. I don't think I've actually seen a clear pattern that is a bearish one. So most of the time when you see the pattern, it's going to be a bullish, right? So either it is a continuation, meaning the prior trend, the prior trend is up and then it consolidates in this pattern and then it continues, or it could be a case where the trend is down, right, and then there's a long period of sideways consolidation before it reverses up. Okay, so this is what the pattern looks like. The main parts will be this cup over here, right, and followed by the handle over here. Okay, so if you look at the name cup and handle, right, you look at this picture of a cup over here, right, you can kind of guess how it got its name, right? So this part over here is the cup, right, and this handle over here is refers to the cup handle over here. Okay, so you get a cup and the handle. So what is interesting about this pattern is that usually uh, for the for a pattern that tries to break, right, a resistance, right, so first thing you need to see that there's a clear, like, a level that the price is trying to break, right? So as it accumulates, it forms this cup, right? That is the part where it actually builds up, right, the pressure, right? So in most breakouts, what happens is that you get the price breaks up, right, and then is followed by a pullback, right, before the price continues. So what is so special about the cup and handle is that the pullback sort of happens prior to the breakout, right? So you have, before it breaks out, it actually has the pullback first, right, in the form of a handle before it breaks out, right? So what the unique thing, right, uh, about the breakout, about the pullback happening before the breakout, is that after the breakout, there most likely won't be any big pullbacks anymore, right? So the good thing is that once it is a breakout, you can safely enter the trade because you don't have to fear that the price is going to have a large pullback after that. Okay, so that usually tends to lead to an explosive move, right, once the breakout happens. Okay, so let me go through the pattern psychology again, right? I think I've covered most of it in the previous slide. So the idea is that the buyers are slowly accumulating for a big move. So that usually happens during the cup phase, right, where you have the big curve. So that's where the buyers are slowly accumulating for the big move and is building up a lot of buying pressure, right, progressively. So as I said, normally the pullback happens after the breakout, but here it happens before the breakout. So there's a low chance of a pullback that happens after the breakout. Okay, so what are the trading strategies that you can use to trade this pattern? So there are two simple strategies. The first is you try to enter it before the breakout, right? So you try to enter it during the part where it's forming the handle. So you can think of it as the pullback before the breakout, right? So that will be your low risk opportunity to enter it just before the explosive move happens. And if you miss that entry, right, that is where the second strategy comes in, which is to enter after the breakout, right? So you enter, after the handle and after the breakout. So you will try to look for any small pullback, right? So sometimes if you can't get a pullback, you might have to go down to a lower time frame, right, to look for the pullback. Okay, so I'm going to go a bit more in depth in the two strategies. Okay, so this is the same cup and handle chart. So if you are going to enter before the breakout, okay, this will be an ideal zone, right, for you to enter. So you have once you have be able to once you have identified the cup and the handle, you will try to look, right, for a low risk entry opportunity in this area, right? So you enter somewhere in this area, you have your entry price here, right? And then you can place your stop loss, right, just somewhere below, right, the low here, right? And then you just wait for the breakout, right? And set your target, right? So later on in the slide, I will tell you how to use the measurement technique to find the potential target, right? But this is the key thing about the entry is you want to know what's the entry and what is the stop loss, right? So this will be one of the best low risk entries, right, that you can use to trade this cup and handle pattern. Okay, the next strategy will be to enter after the breakout. So you notice that after the breakout, right, so this is the initial first move after the breakout, right, there is a small pullback over here, right, which sort of forms a bull flag, right, or pennant, right, which gives you an opportunity to enter, right. So remember earlier on I said that because the large pullback, right, which is this handle, has already happened, right, before the breakout. So after the breakout, there tends to be not a very large pullback, right. So you can look for any small pullback such as this, right, to enter because you know that the move is going to be very, very strong. Okay, so once you spot this small consolidation, right, you try to make an entry, right, anywhere in this zone, place your stop loss below, right, this consolidation, right, and then you can try to go for a bigger target. Okay, so these are the two low risk entry points which you can use to enter the cup and handle pattern. Okay, so the last thing to cover is how do you know how far the price can go, or rather what profit target are you going to use to for this pattern. Okay, so one of the simplest ways is to measure the height of the cup. Okay, so if you look at the height of the cup, it's a bit wobbly here, right? So assuming this is a straight line, right, and you take this same distance here, right, and you project it upwards here. Okay, so things a bit more. Okay, so you will roughly get a target, right, somewhere over here, right, which you can use as your TP. Okay, so this is a very simple measurement technique, right? And you notice that what is so amazing about this pattern is that the cup is definitely going to be bigger than the handle by the nature of the pattern, right? And the cup measurement gives you the potential target. So straight away you can tell that because your risk, right, when you use your handle to place a stop loss, right, so your risk at most, right, is going to be this amount, right, whereas your potential target, right, is going to be the cup, right. So that means that your potential reward, right, is definitely going to be more than your potential risk, because the reward will be the length of the cup, whereas the risk will be the length of the handle, right. So that's a very useful way to get a good gauge, right, of this that this trade is going to be a good reward to risk trade. Okay, so some additional tips, right, for trading this pattern. The first, right, is that it is better to trade with the trend. Okay, so earlier on I mentioned that this can either be a reversal pattern or a continuation pattern. So if it's a continuation pattern, then there's a high chance, that if the prior trend is already bullish, right, then there's a much higher chance that it will continue to be bullish, right? If the prior trend is was a downtrend, right, you must make sure that there's a stronger a base, right, a longer base that accumulates. Okay, so let me just give you a quick example, right? If the trend, right, is already heading up, right, and then you can see a cup and then a handle, right? So you know that there's a good chance that it will continue because this trend is already very strong, right? And this will be a continuation pattern. Okay, whereas if, right, the trend is down, right, and then you see you will need, right, a much bigger, right, and stronger pattern, right, in order to reverse the trend, right? If you want to make sure that your odds, right, of a bullish move, right, is stronger. Okay, so and lastly, you want to look for multiple attempts to break the resistance, right? So if you have a resistance over here, right, the more times, right, the price tries to hit, right, the greater the more explosive the move, right, is going to be when it finally does manage to break through that resistance, because there'll be a lot of trapped traders, right, who maybe enter too early, right? So when the price actually does manage to break through, right, there'll be a lot of stops that are getting triggered. Okay, so these are some useful tips from the trading desk, right? So remember the two strategies which I covered, right, which is to enter, at the break of the handle, or to wait after the breakout and then you enter, at the first pullback opportunity. Okay, so I hope that you have learned something useful from this video, right? And you'll be able to effectively trade the cup and handle pattern. Okay, so if you are interested to know more about trading and investing, please do subscribe to our channel for a lot more exciting videos, and do share about this channel with your friends and family as well. Right, with that, I will see you in the next video.